Good evening. I am Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey, and I am bringing you book review and an interview tonight. Tonight, I am bringing you Jesse Baer. He has a Kickstarter called Burlap, and well, let me just say, whenever we get into this tonight, it's going to be a great show. I will let you know ahead of time. There is nothing that's going to be on this show that is going to be that anybody else can't see, but the book itself is NSFW. So just keep that in mind. We'll go over that whenever we get in here with the interview. Without further ado, let me go ahead and bring him on. His name is Jesse Baer. Hang on just a moment. And
How's
there
it going,
you go.
Phil?
You are live. What's going on, Jesse?
Too much. Thank you very much for having me. This is awesome.
Hey,
This is actually my first interview.
hey, not a problem at all. Greatly wanted to get you on here.
Thank you.
Uh, so we're talking about Burlap, your Kickstarter
Yep,
that you've got going.
absolutely.
As I understand, your Kickstarter ends in 3 days, correct?
Yes, including today, it's 3 days. But technically, if we want to get technical, the Kickstarter launched at 4 a.m. on Tuesday of the first day of its launch. So at 4 a.m. on Tuesday will be it. So technically, tomorrow is the last day. And then whoever's up all hours of the night or in other countries, then technically we're 3 days. But really, including today, it's 2 days. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And we're doing pretty decent on this so far. It looks like we're a little over 1,000 over the goal on there is what we're
Oh,
looking at.
yep. It's absolutely amazing. We have had so much support from the indie comics community and from all of our backers, and it's great. We reached two stretch goals over the past week, and it looks like we're gonna go out with a bang, and that we're moving steadily along. And my whole team over at Covenant Comics. We are so thrilled that so many people have shown so much support to the book and to indie creators in general. I did a lot of cross promotions with other Kickstarters. A lot of other great creators worked with me on, promoting each other's work and supporting each other. So it was really a group effort and a very, very stressful time period, but well worth it because thankfully we're going to be able to get Burlap out to the world and in the hands of readers. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to this on my end as well because I will say right now, I am a backer and I am
Yes,
not
yes, you are.
ashamed of that by any means.
And we appreciate your support so much.
This is definitely one of those that you want to look at. You can't just look at it once and give it a once over just real quick at the top and just finish up on there. Scroll all the way down. Look at everything that's available on there and see how it's written. Because let me go ahead and bring up right now. As I recall, it has 9 tiers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's 9 tiers on there. And the tiers are actually decent. I'm gonna tell you right now, I've been on some of these other ones where they go all the way upwards of $1,500, $3,000 for the top end tier. Your top end tier is 150.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And just to explain the top end tier, what comes in there that you would get extra would be if you'll explain that.
So our highest tier, the 150, that is we call it the Murder Most Foul tier. And that is where you pledge $150. And for that, you get your own personalized art commission by our artist, the amazing Zoran Jovicic. And he will draw you either being slain by our hero, Burlap, or by our nefarious villain, Cottontail. And along with that, you
Excellent.
also get all 4 books in the series so far.
But see, that's a great value right there. That alone.
Oh yeah,
So
we wanted
that's
to
your
make sure.
highest end tier. I mean, that is amazing that's like
Yeah.
that you have that. Now I will go ahead and bring up. There's a tier just underneath it that has very much caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go ahead and show them what they got with that
Oh
because I think
yeah,
you have
that's
that.
actually right here. Let's see if I can get a good angle on this. But that's this guy right here, the Burlap mask bust. This is handmade by myself, and it is made from actual burlap material, jute cord, some paper mache, and hand painted. And this guy was actually, I don't know if you saw the video for the Kickstarter, but was actually worn by an actor in the, which was really cool because originally, like it says, it's a bust. And that was mainly because I could not get this guy off the foam head that it was made on. But thankfully, with a little grit and elbow grease, I was able to get it off there, and it is now a wearable mask. So I wouldn't say it's one size fits all, but it would definitely make for a great decoration, or even around Halloween, or hey, if you got a head that can fit in there, a great costume. So
There
that's
you
this guy
go.
right here.
Now, we brought up that tier on there. So the other ones we've got PDFs that are available. We've got the
Yes.
prints that are available. And I
Yes,
think
sir.
you have a couple of variants, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, we have. I actually made a point to, before we launched the Kickstarter, I had commissioned 4 variant covers, one for each issue, each done by a unique, different artist. They were all amazing, and they all did amazing work on their covers. So there is a tier where each issue you gets that special exclusive cover that we're currently only offering as a Kickstarter exclusive. Maybe down the road, when the Covenant Comics online store opens, we'll have those available. But as of right now, they're exclusive to the Kickstarter.
Excellent. Excellent. And I will tell you, whenever you go scrolling through there, definitely look at the regular covers and look at the variants, because the regular covers are equally as nice. They are not low in quality by any means.
Thank you.
So you need to definitely look at that whenever you're looking through his tier levels, and definitely pick out what you want on there. But everything is an amazing value. I would just let you know. Now, you mentioned about Covenant Comics a few times. That's your
Yes.
publishing company, correct? That
Yes,
you go
sir.
through.
Yep.
Okay. Now, there was something about a cross promotion. There's some other books that are involved that are dealing with the cross promotion.
So as far as cross promoting goes, I worked with several other, aside from Covenant creators, to kind of like show each other's work to our backers, and that included the last 4 Horsemen. Just recently, we teamed up to help promote each other's work. There was also, I know I'm going to butcher saying this, but Mesotonic, I believe, Mesotonic High.
Yes.
They were a great help. And also the guys over at Demon Hunter Raven, that is by Nicholas Mueller. He was a big help, and we cross promoted with each other's Kickstarters, and shared each other's books, and Facebook posts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a real great collaboration between myself and other creators that were also trying to get their books funded during such a crazy time in the world.
Exactly. And see, bringing up the crazy time in the world, that's why we keep bringing up about it's time for everybody to start working together and networking and pulling together to get out of this. And you're just definitely showing that that is possible to do, that not everybody's fighting for that top spot. Everybody's kind of working together, and that's great that you're doing that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, because that's definitely something that you look for in the indies, and not even just with current circuit situation and everything. In the indies, it's a matter of getting your exposure out there. And too many people try to claw scratch, move up there in the wrong ways type scenario. But you're actually moving into it. You're putting your product directly out there. And whenever I contacted you, you were incredibly, I mean, you were open to talking to me. You had no problem with it. You asked a few key questions to make sure I wasn't just one of those guys with a hand going out going, please, can I have something free? Because I wasn't doing that.
I know. Yeah, absolutely.
But you're that kind of guy. And we do appreciate that. And that's exactly what the indies need, is a situation like what you're doing with working with other indie creators. That's what needs to be done, is more of the communication, more of the working together and networking. So you're definitely on the right path with that.
Thank you.
There was something that you had mentioned also about the that was like we're on the ground floor of the comics coming together, and this is one of the comics. I thought there was other comics.
Okay, so and going back to talking about my group that I'm associated with, that basically we're a team, like the 3 of us. That's JD Gonzalez, Jesse Chisholm, and myself. He is Jesse 1. I'm Jesse 2, obviously, because I came in last on the totem pole. And yeah, they are 2 great creators, and they're both working on their own books as well. JD has actually released the first 2 issues of his book Crossbones, which is this, because I found out about them through their Kickstarter for Crossbones and the promotions they were doing on Facebook. And it's this great story about a cartel member that I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, but he gets this power of manipulating his bones. And it's this whole kind of like redemption story of him kind of against like the people who wronged him and everything like that. And it's such a cool concept, and the art is done by Roman Gavsky, and he is a fantastic artist. And that was like the first thing I saw of theirs, which got me interested and made me contact them about publication for Burlap. And the more we got to talking, the more we saw that, oh, these characters kind of feel like they could come from the same world. And then Jesse One, he has a character called Ether. And Ether is this gigantic Scotsman who has the ability to manipulate and become all the different elements: earth, fire, water, earth, and all that. And they've had this universe plan since they were in high school. They came up with it at a lunch table. That's like their tagline, like a universe born at their high school lunch table.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just such creative guys, and they have such great stories planned. Jesse right now is working on issue 1 of Ether, and I've seen some of it, and it is fantastic. I'm not going to talk too much about it just because I don't want to spoil anything. But we are basically building the Covenant Comics universe, which they started, and I just kind of jumped on board recently and became a part of their team and have introduced Burlap into this kind of world. So we have all kinds of things on the horizon. We have discussed crossovers with our characters. You know, you'll see a Crossbones Ether crossover issue. You'll see Burlap versus or meets Crossbones and vice versa with Ether. And it's all kinds of awesome, cool stories we have planned. And then a lot of like really big stuff in the future. So it's really exciting. And we all three of us get like giddy as children when we start talking about our ideas when it comes to bringing these characters together and building this world into something great. So.
But that's great because you're showing you and the other two that are involved in this, that you're showing that exact passion that needs to be inside the indies. Yes. That's what separates the indies from the big two. I mean, that is a huge thing that separates it, is the amount of passion that goes into it. And that's perfect that you're doing that. I mean, because that's what we need more of to show through the books. Now, getting to the book, we've mentioned a few times about the no spoiler thing. So I'm going to tell you right now, there's not going to be any spoilers on this, so don't worry about it. And on the other ones, whenever he mentioned about not spoiling, I don't want to know either because I will be getting the books. So I want to be surprised just as much as everyone else. In going forward with this, I did have to go ahead and get book number 1, and I went ahead and read it digitally online. I need that thing in my hands. That's why I'm a backer.
Oh, that's this thing right here, right? This guy.
Oh, so you're telling me. Yeah.
There it is. Yep. I had these, I was actually self-publishing in the beginning, and I had at least 50 to 75 of these guys printed off with Miller Publishing, and they did a great job. It looks great. Here's just a little taste of that right there. There's our boy Cottontail. And yeah, it's I actually sold all but 5 that I've been hoarding to myself for, like, if somebody comes along and wants an issue or wants to check it out and everything like that.
Exactly. So in going with this, I'm going to ask you a few questions directly involved in this without giving out any spoilers, of course. Sure, we're keeping that in place. So how did you get your start in comics?
Okay, so that's actually interesting story. So my background is in film production. I went to school to be a filmmaker, writer, director, and I actually spent most of my youth acting. And I did acting camps. I did plays for school here and there. Mainly, it was making funny little videos with my friends, like making Michael Myers versus Jason in our backyard and stuff like that. And so I went to Bucks County Community College for cinema video production. I pursued a degree in film at Temple. I was there for about a semester, and then I went back to community college. But and then so I did the indie film thing, working with various indie creators for a little while, and I was a part of a couple great films, and I even spent almost 5 years working on a web series with my good friend Ryan Larison, who is my go-to guy when it comes to film. He actually shot, lit, and edited the whole Kickstarter video. And so me and him still stay close. We still work on some stuff here and there. But recently, over the past couple years, I decided I kind of stepped away from film. I got married, got a job working at a hospital, which was very demanding, and I also had a daughter, a beautiful little girl named Vera, and so just filmmaking takes up so much time. and it is like you think you're going into a shoot for 4 to 5 hours, and it turns into an 8 to 12 hour shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And it like, and for example, the web series I was talking about, Echo Trail, it was called. It's actually still on YouTube. That took about 2 years to film, and then just finding time to do the post production took another couple of years. So it's a really long process, but I was ready to get back into it after having stepped away for about 4 or 5 years. So I started production on this short film that was basically became Burlap, like, the masked figure. There was a very different character in the beginning, a very different look. And it was essentially like the way that I kind of used inspiration was from Batman the Animated Series opening scene. Like, I just wanted to do something short and simple like that, where you just have a there's cats fighting in the background. I hope that doesn't bother anybody. But yeah, so just something very short and sweet, and something to just kind of like get my feet wet again in film and get behind the camera. And what started out as something very simple grew into this very complex, very demanding project. And it got to the point where everything that could go wrong went wrong. We had actors leave the project due to unforeseen circumstances. There was one week where not one but two of our actors were in separate car accidents. They're both fine now, but it was just. And then another one of the actors got booked on a job out of country, so he was going to be gone for 6 months. We were going to film. I'm referencing the comic. There's the part at a train station. We actually had a rundown abandoned train station that we were going to film at, and we even had permission from the historic society that kind of controlled it. And they ended up going under construction, and we lost the location. So everything was falling apart, and I was just losing it. I just, was losing sleep over it. And it was something that I was doing to try and distract myself from things that were going on in my life. And it just became a part of the problem, where it was just another stressor. It was another issue that I had to overcome. So I was at my wit's end with it. And this was around March of last year. I went to Monster Mania Con in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And when I was there, I had the privilege of meeting Buzz Hassan, who writes the Night of the Living Corpse comics with the Corpse crew, Ken Hasser and all those guys. And they were just such great guys. And I love going up to the indie booths and talking to the comic creators. I buy way too many indie comics when I go to these things, because I want to read everything. And I'm fascinated by everything. Because, and I love the big two, like DC, Marvel, and all that. But my true passion for comics is the indies, like the ones that you haven't really heard of. They're, just off the beaten path, and you can really see, like you said, the passion that comes from indie creation. So me and Buzz got to talking, and I started telling him about the project, and I showed him some posters and stuff like that we had created. And he's like, "Hey, would you want me to do a kind of comic art poster for the film?" And I'm like, "That would be fantastic. That's really cool," because I was a very big fan of Night of the Living Corpse, or the Living Corpse, not Night of the Living Corpse. But yeah,
there's so many corpses out there. How can you keep them intact?
And but yeah, so I contacted him almost immediately after the con, and instead of doing a cover or a poster, I actually asked him, because I had this whole new idea for the character to kind of take the look in a whole new direction and to really make it more original. And so I told him the idea I had for the character, the burlap sack mask, and the whole kind of look. And I'm like, if you could do kind of a concept sketch of what this guy would look like, that'd be great. That's where I think we should go, because I was really on fence with the whole film thing and where it was going. And so he finished it. I actually have it right here. This is the original art that he did. And it's fantastic. It's really good. I was so thrilled by it. And just the mask, the attention to detail, that kind of Sin City noir look to it. I fell in love with it immediately. And from that moment that I saw that, when he emailed me, the digital picture, eventually, he emailed me the original sketch. I knew it had to be a comic. There was no doubt in my mind that this is the way I wanted to go, because I've always loved comics, and I wish I'd thought of this back when I was, in my early 20s. Going into college, I wish I'd been writing comics, for the past 15 years. But so in that moment, I just, that's what I wanted to do. The film was just not working out, and all I wanted to do was tell the story, and this presented a chance for me to tell that visually still, but in a different medium. So I immediately went to work reformatting my script. I did all the, looked up all the how-tos on comic writing. I bought some books of how to write comics and stuff like that. And I have a program I use for writing film scripts, which is called Celtics. And
Mhm.
so they had a comic book option for formatting. So I just dived right into that. I reformatted the whole script. And what was a lot of fun was, a big part of filmmaking that can be such a struggle is finding what you can do within your budget, what you can do within your actor's capability, especially when you're on a shoestring budget of next to nothing. And I had so much freedom because now I didn't have to worry about locations. I could have it take place on the moon if I wanted to. It was so liberating to sit down and write this thing with no restraints. And I added a lot more action. I gave certain characters that weren't really too involved with the film a little more play because I could, because I didn't have like a time constraint or anything like that, or filming hours didn't come into play. So I really just went nuts with it. And from there, I knew I had to get an artist, and I still had a budget for the film, and I knew that money would have to go towards the art because comic commission art can be very expensive, and
Mhm.
that's where you create all your visuals. So I put ads out everywhere, on Indeed, on Craigslist. I even went to this site called it's like Art Guru, and
Mhm.
I got dozens and dozens of emails, lots of great, fantastic artists, and some scammers. Not gonna lie, there was one person in particular. I don't even remember her name, so I couldn't even say it if I wanted to. But she sent me a Dropbox file of hundreds of images saying this was examples of her work, and let her know what I thought. And she even told me right off the bat, she's like, "I'll need $100 to do a rough sketch of your character so you can see how I draw him." I'm like, "Well, okay. I mean, I understand."
Yeah.
But I'm looking through this Dropbox file, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, I know that. I
Yeah.
know that too. That looks really familiar." And I looked even closer, and this person didn't even take the time to crop out artist signatures on the art. So I emailed her, and I'm like, "So I'm a bit confused. Are these examples of art that you'd like to do? Because this is all like DC comic artists, Dark Horse artists, comic
Mhm.
it was well known artists." And I was shocked, and she immediately blocked me on all social media and email and all that, because I guess the jig was up. But then through all that, I received an email from Zoran Jovicic. He's from Novi Sad, Serbia, and he sent me his portfolio, and I was just blown away. His artwork was fantastic, and there was a lot of great work that I'd seen, but this style and his attention to detail and just almost just the beauty of what he drew really spoke to me for this book. So we instantly, started talking. I emailed him back, said, "Hey, let's talk. Let's, see what we can work out here." And it was so refreshing because working on the internet, I'm sure, can be very scary because you don't know who you're talking to on the other
Right.
side of the world, or on the other side of that computer. So there's that fear, that anonymity. How butchered that word, I'm sure. And so me and him both agreed. He said to me, "Hey, I don't know you, you don't know me. Let's get to know each other and see if this is going to work out." And thankfully, we hit it off, and we both have children around the same age, which we connected about. And next thing he was technically, I guess, hired. You would say I'd consider it more of a collaboration than see him as my employee. We're partners on this thing, basically. And from then on, he's become, actually, I consider him one of my really good friends. And sometimes we don't even need to talk comics. We'll just talk about our day to day, and it's a great working relationship. And even when he's doing the books, he'll get an idea that's not necessarily in the script involved in a certain scene, and he'll hit me and go, "Hey, Jesse, I was thinking about the moment where Cottontail does this or Burlap does that. What if it was like this, or what if we did it in this way to make it even more shocking, or more violent and thrilling?" And I'm just like, "Let's do it," because his ideas are fantastic. So it's a real collaboration between the two of us bringing this book to life. And then from there, the journey went towards me trying to find a publisher, and I submitted to everyone, except of course DC and Marvel. I'm not that naive, but and of course, yeah, I don't see them printing a book about a slasher killer killing, other killers and stuff. It just doesn't seem like it's up their alley, but or like something they would consider. But yeah, I submitted to everyone, and I was either met with silence from a lot of people, and then the rejection letters that you do get. Some of them, were very kind and very like, oh, maybe not right now, and then some were just like, no, not going to happen. And I kind of took that and I turned it into motivation, where I even would print out my rejection letters and I'd keep them, and I'd look at them when I was like, be like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to get this somewhere. And so I contacted Covenant Comics. Like I was saying, I saw their stuff on Facebook and I was blown away by it. I thought it was so cool, and I thought the characters were so original. And we hit it off right away. I mainly talked to JD Gonzalez at first, and then I started talking to Jesse Chisholm. And we just had this compatibility, and we got to know each other over the course of, I'd say, almost 2 months before we made any final decisions. And then this past November, I actually signed the contract joining the team, and that they would publish Burlap. And then from there, we went right to planning the Kickstarter. We spent months on it, and we landed right where we are right now. And that was the journey into comics.
That is quite the journey, and it looks like it's definitely starting to pay off for you on that too, because just for this being the foundation book, it's already getting a lot of notice. I mean, it actually more or less exploded within a matter of days. It was kind of stagnant, and then all of a sudden, just bam, out of nowhere. And we've got between 1 and 2 days left, depending upon
where you are in the world.
Exactly. So you have a chance to get on this, but it's definitely one of those that I was watching, and it's changed everything. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, I was shocked, and I was so honored how people kind of almost gravitated towards it, like in a way where they saw this character and they saw, the artwork, and they were just like, this looks like, something crazy, something like different. And that's what I hear the most is people say like, this looks like a real fresh take on this kind of story. And I was so happy about that, because as a writer, you want people to be interested in what you're writing. You want to attract that kind of attention.
Exactly. So, and you bring up about the artwork. I have a question about that, because
absolutely.
You showed a couple of pages on there, and you can't show a bunch, and I don't want you to, because they'll start giving away stuff. But why did you choose that particular color scheme to go with this story?
Well, if we're talking specifically black and white, that is because Zoran, he kind of does the shadowing and fading and stuff like that, and he really brings that gritty kind of noir feel to it. And that actually kind of brings in the answer to the question is, I love noir. Noir was one of my favorite genres from the very beginning when I was a kid. I was one of those kids in elementary school who I wasn't watching what the other kids were watching. While they were watching Hey Arnold and the Rugrats in elementary school, I was watching the Maltese Falcon. I was watching like the 40s and 50s Universal monster movies and Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, and I was listening to The Shadow and the Green Hornet on cassette tape. So I love like that hard-boiled noir storytelling, and like one of my favorite comics of all time is The Crow, and close second is Sin City. So like I really saw this book taking place in that kind of world that's kind of devoid of color, where it's very like high contrast, hard blacks, because that's really what the story is. It's this gritty, and the word I hear the most when people read this book or if they see pages from it is brutal. It's a very brutal story. And JD and Jesse love to use that word when I send them new pages. Like, this is brutal. That's Jesse's Burlap. Brutal.
It definitely is. I will agree. Yeah. And the artwork, the other thing that I like about it too, and again, no spoilers, but there are no definitive panels in there. It jumps all the way around, so it gives you more of a three-dimensional effect in there. So it draws you into the story. From the time you open that first page and you go to the last, you can't believe you're at the end, and you go back and you read it again, and you read it again, and you're trying to figure out where you may have missed something or something changed up or something in there. it draws you completely into that world. And there are not many books out there that throw me off because I've read quite a bit. I've seen all these movies and everything, and nothing phases me. So on the review on this, it is a definite double thumbs up on that
Well,
because
thank you.
I saw nothing in there that threw me off where it had, okay, you're going to pay attention to this element right now, or you're going to pay attention to this character because we're putting more focus right now. It was well rounded from page one all the way to the end,
Thank you.
which was left on a cliffhanger, which is killing me, but I'm waiting. I am being patient.
I can tell you're being very patient.
But bringing up that it's on a cliffhanger, you have on the Kickstarter that you have 1 through 4
Yes, sir.
that will be available on there with current situation and everything that's going on in the world right now. Are you going to be able to go ahead and get those printed and out in a decent time, or what are we looking at on
Yes.
that?
So I don't know so much about. I definitely don't think it's going to meet the estimated because when we planned the Kickstarter and we arranged all the rewards and when people would get them, that was before all this craziness broke loose and America kind of came to a standstill. And so right now, for example, the printer that we use is half non-operational, where they will accept the digital files, they will upload them, they will format them, they will get them ready up until the very minute of printing. But their printing shops are, right now closed due to the pandemic, and they assure all their customers. I've received emails that when they are up and running, they will immediately get to work on their orders. And the thing I don't know is, I'm sure there are, dozens of creators like me waiting to get their books printed. So I'm not sure where in line we'll fall once the Kickstarter ends and we get our order information to them. I'm really hoping by the end of the summer to get the books in everybody's hands. And I just really hope, that everyone understands, the situation we're in, the situation almost everybody's in, where, this is so unforeseen. But no matter what, at the end of the day, generally speaking, those books will get into the hands of the backers as soon as we possibly can. And I will work day and night to make sure that happens. Because and of course, a big part of this Kickstarter was raising the funds in order to make the comic itself and, going towards the art commission prices and the shipping and all that. But the main goal was to get this book in the hands of readers. That's the thing I cared about the most, 100%, was because this is a love letter to the fans of all the genres it combines. It combines slasher horror, it combines vigilante, revenge, noir. There's even, we haven't really got there yet, but there's a bit of supernatural thriller elements to it that are coming. And, you'll see. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I really wrote this for people like me who love this kind of book, who love this kind of fiction, from movies to comics to novels. And I just really want people to be able to get their hands on it and read it. And, that's the goal. So those books will be coming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definite. I mean, so it's ready to print. I mean, we're talking about it's done and ready to print, ready to
Oh,
go
yeah.
as soon as the
Issues
Kickstarter is
1
done.
through 3 are completely done from beginning to end. Issue 4 is in the works right now. That one is a few pages in, and my artist and I have been communicating on it. He sends me new pages almost daily, which is great. And so he's working really hard, and that one should be ready to go in time for printing when everything settles down. And we also, which I'm very excited about, we're still working out the details on how we're going to do it. But the first stretch goal was that we'll be able to collect all 4 issues into a trade paperback graphic novel. And that has been my dream since beginning this. I wanted that volume in my hands, that hefty book that's over 100 pages. And that is going to happen. We're still working that out and everything, with the printing situation and all that. The priority is to get the issues the backers pledged for. That's the main priority. So the graphic novel will happen. If it happens sooner or later, all depends on what we're capable of doing during this time period in the world and what our printers are capable of doing. So
Absolutely. The main thing is everybody that's watching this right now, pay attention to the fact that we're ready to print. That's the main thing that I want to draw out of this is not one of those things where you're going to back it and you may see it middle to late next year ish. No, this thing is ready to print. So
Ready
as
to
soon
go.
as
Yep.
printers are ready to take it, it's in there, it's done. They'll
Mm.
ship it back to him. He will ship it out to you with some goodies, I imagine, in there as
Oh
well.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. We a lot of the um, rewards that we offered come with like variant posters, and even like the majority of them come with a poster of the issue 1 variant cover. There's also a like character. It's almost kind of like it's a little more in depth than this, but this is one of the first concept drawings that Zoran did of Burlap, and we have a poster that's kind of like this in a way. But then we also have my good friend Michelle Baer, who I've mentioned previously in another discussion. She worked on some stickers, graphics of each character. So we got, there's a Burlap sticker. There is all of our, there we go, all the villains right
Oh, let me give
here.
you full screen. Hang on just a second.
Oh, sure thing. All right, here they are. This is Chuckles over. Yeah, that's backwards. There we go. Chuckles, Bones, Cottontail, and Jack. We have stickers of all of them, all with a really unique design that she came up with, which I'm really excited about. And each one kind of like tells like a little bit of their story, just kind of gives you a gist of who they are. And as far as concept art goes, well, I got these in my hand. I got Chuckles. Originally, he had a Mickey Mouse T-shirt on. I felt like the House of Mouse would not appreciate that too much, so I kind of gave that a.
Hang on, let me give you
But
full screen because that deserves.
there we go. Yeah, there's Chuckles. He's our psycho clown. And with Chuckles, what I wanted to do was I didn't want him to be like a copy of the Joker or other clowns like him. I wanted this guy to be his own murderous psycho clown. So, and he doesn't really have like a high pitched, whiny laugh. He's not like a cackling lunatic. He's like this brute force of nature. He is like if the Joker was a WWE wrestler. That's the kind of guy he is. So he's a lot of fun to write, and he's one of the characters I'm most excited about. And then moving along, we got Jack. Now, Jack is very special because Jack is actually based on one of my very, very good friends, Austin. He's actually drawn to his likeness, and aside from the makeup, this is Austin, and he is one of my really good friends, and he inspired this character. He even helped me come up with some of his character traits and quirks and stuff like that. So that's another character I'm very excited for you to see. And then moving along, Cottontail, of course, is the murderous Easter bunny that plagues all of our dreams. He was created through fear of a literal Easter bunny costume. At the hospital I worked at, we had this costume that one of our employees would dress in, and this thing was terrifying. It was meant to bring smiles to children's faces, but I can imagine it brought many tears as well. And I would just see this thing sit in the office all the time, and I thought, that guy is terrifying. That would make a great villain. And that's basically where Cottontail was born, from that terrifying costume.
Yeah, that
Kept
is
at
definitely
our
one of those.
hospital.
Whenever you're reading this thing, I mean, it's just a comic, but even just in the comic, out of all of the characters, that's the one that actually gets it where it's like, okay, man, I got hair standing up whenever I'm reading this thing. I mean,
And Zoran did such a great job with that, because even like he has the eye holes in his mask. Just what he does with his eyes when he's like giving someone that death stare
yes,
is terrifying, and he did such a great job representing him. I think I got one more here, and this is Bones. Bones, the look of him is one of my favorites because I've been trying to make a skull-faced character my whole life. Even back when I was in college, I tried making a movie called Brother Grimm. That was like a vigilante with a skull face. Didn't work. Tried creating a slasher film with a skull face called Reaper. Didn't work. So finally, I got to bring Bones to life in this comic book. And I'm also very excited for you to see him and see what he's all about. And I think that wraps up. Yeah, back to Burlap. Back to the main man.
yeah, those. Yeah, just seeing the sketches like that, I'm telling you right now, those are the characters, and he kind of gave you some definition on there. But whenever you actually see them in the storyline, the way that they react with each other, the way that they meld into the story, the way that the pages just flow into each other, I'm telling you right now, from beginning to end, I cannot emphasize enough, this thing is just a page turner.
Thank you. I
And
really appreciate that.
You definitely need to back this thing while you got time. Uh, I want to go ahead and ask you, what was your favorite part of doing this project?
I gotta say, the biggest thrill, the thing that I love the most is, of course, I love writing. I love writing the books. I would literally be up all night writing these issues. I would tell my wife, okay, yeah, I'll be upstairs in about an hour, and then 3 hours pass, and she's like, "Where are you?" I'm writing. I'm on a roll. But receiving Zoran's artwork, like in the creation stage where he'll send me like it panel by panel, because like he likes to tease me like that. He'll like send me like one panel that he's working on, and I'll be like, "Wow, this is awesome! I cannot wait to see the rest." And it's just such a cool feeling because seeing somebody else bring your thoughts and ideas to life in illustration or even in film, like when you're writing scripts, seeing like actors play your characters, it's that same kind of thrill where it's like I picture Chuckles, Bones, Cottontail in my head, and then I see them like physically in front of me on paper, and I love it. That's my favorite. When he was doing all those concept sketches in the beginning, and keep in mind he's over in Serbia, so it's like when it's 8 o'clock at night here, it's 4 a.m. there. He'd be up till 4 a.m. working on these, and he'd send me them, and it'd be like almost 8:30 here, and I would get like a Psycho Clown on my phone. I'd be like, "That's Chuckles. That's the guy in my head. Like he's right there." And I love that. That's my working on these comics. That's my favorite part, is seeing the words come to life through Zoran's art, and it's just incredible.
Well, now in flipping that around a little bit, what's been the most challenging aspect of putting this together?
The biggest challenge as far as the creative process goes is keeping it in that page constraint, because pages cost money. Each page costs money, and you have a budget. So yeah, finding a way to put the story in my head into 24 to 26 pages is probably the most struggling part, because there's so much story I want to tell, but I have to be careful of how much I tell. And because I got to think of it in the frame of the issues. Like, okay, so how much do I want to tell them in issue 1, and how much are we going to reveal in issue 2? And trying to even with the biggest out of all these issues, writing issue 4, because that's the last one in this volume that wraps up this particular story arc. There's so much I wanted to tell, and there's so many characters I wanted to kind of plant seeds for them to to give you an idea of what's happening for the future. And there was so much that I have planned for the future with this series and these characters, but I had to think, okay, what's important for this story? What do I need to show the readers for this story? It's kind of like that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like how much time do you spend setting up the next Marvel movie until you're just making a movie, setting up another movie? And that's nothing against those movies. They're great movies. But I wanted this to be its own story. And yes, there are things that will lead to other stories, but I wanted to keep it contained to, not lose track. And trying to keep it all in there and still plant those seeds without going over my page limit was a struggle. And there would be times I have to go back. I'd get towards the end of the book and be like, I still need to do this, this, and that for what's happening right now. I have to go back and trim some stuff. And then Zoran emails me and goes, Jesse, this page that you sent me should be 2 to 3 pages. And I'm like, I know. I'm trying to figure out how to tell it and show it and not go nuts with the amount of pages. So that is the biggest struggle, I would say.
I could definitely see where this could be a 1 through 4 volume book if you were to go crazy with it and actually have like a 84 page per thing on there. It could definitely go up there. Now that brings up a question though. Why on the Kickstarter did you decide to go with volumes 1 through 4 all in one Kickstarter instead of releasing one and then go on to another and so on and so forth?
You mean more so the individual issues?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So what I wanted to do there was I wanted to be able to tell the whole first, I wanted to introduce Burlap to people. I didn't really want them to have to wait. And I guess that's kind of selfish of me in a way, but I wanted to be able to give them his full origin story in one fell swoop. I wanted them to be able to get their rewards, and they're reading issue. For example, right now you've read issue 1, and you saw that cliffhanger, and my goal was to be that you didn't have, in this case you do have to wait, but once you get your books, then you can just go right on to the next one, and then you can go right on to the next one and the next one. And then because Burlap Volume 1 is his origin. It's how he came to be. It tells his whole backstory. And of course, there's always room to go back to the backstory and show things that weren't shown. But as a whole, this is the birth of Burlap. This is his origin. And so I wanted to be able to tell that story and just, get people excited about who he is and what he's about. Because then once we are done with the origin, then that opens the realm of so many new possibilities with, like I said, the world building that we're doing. We got our man Crossbones, and we'll be seeing Crossbones and Burlap team up in the future with some crazy stories that don't need to tell an origin story because you'll know these guys. And that's what I wanted to do with this Kickstarter, because I already had issues 1 and 2 done, and the commission fees were done, and one had been printed one time, 2 could have been printed, 3 was in the works. So I already had a lot of the work done. So I wanted to be able to give this to people as a full volume, opposed to having to have issue 1 and then you wait a few months later another Kickstarter to get issue 2. So this way everybody gets to experience Burlap's origins right off the bat.
Excellent. And I do like that you're releasing it, because it does. It's been a long time since I've seen a cliffhanger that's left you like that. So it's definitely one that I'm over here chomping at the bit and waiting for mine to come in. And I'm going to tell you right now, whenever you get it, it's probably going to be one of those that you're going to have to read all 4, all in one setting. And then you're going to go back and you're going to really enjoy number 1 and really get into it and get the feel for number 1, then you go back to 2 and so on and so forth. But whenever you first get this, you're going to want to read this like a trade and just read all 4 all in one fell swoop.
And that's the way I see it is, it's almost like all 4 books would make one movie. You know what I mean? And even how you were saying about the way the panels are and the way you see the story through that visual storytelling, a lot of that comes from, of course, Zoran's amazing artwork, but also that combination of the way I write comics like I would write films. I see it in my head as a movie, and I write the panels like I would do storyboards for a film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm so excited about the trade paperback, because you just get to see it from beginning to end in a nice fluid flow. And I'm really excited for people to see it and to read it and to see what everybody thinks.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I will say again, we just need to go ahead and point out there, this is not a T for teen. This is definitely not for the kids.
No, it is not. Do not let your kids read this book. They will not look at the Easter Bunny the same way ever again. Easter will be frowned upon by these children.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever we do get back to whatever form of normal and we get back to seeing an Easter Bunny out there at the malls or whatever, I would be doing those sideways glances at that guy now.
Yeah. You don't know what he's thinking behind that mask. He could be looking right at you.
See, you don't know what we're talking about right now, but as soon as you get the book, oh yeah, you're gonna come back and look at this video and go, that was twisted. Y'all were talking about that.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, just to give people, if you haven't seen the Kickstarter, if you're kind of new to this whole little world, if you go to the Burlap Facebook page, and it's just you just do Burlap Comic in the search bar, you will find that we actually have some preview pages of the first couple pages of Burlap, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. Because I like to open my comics with kind of like a cold open, like on a TV show, where the beginning kind of introduces you to a situation, introduces you to a character. So the first couple pages of Burlap introduce you to Cottontail without really giving away what the story's about. So if you want to get to know him a little bit and see what the story's about, you can check out the Burlap Facebook page. You can check out the Instagram. We have a lot of great previews there. Even on covenantcomics.com, we have a section just devoted to Burlap and the backstory of how it came to be. We have some great preview pages. We have the artwork done by Michelle of the stickers and all kinds of other great stuff. So if you are interested and want to know a little bit more before either potentially pledging or before checking out the book yourself when it's for sale, that's where you'll find it.
Excellent. Now, bringing up about the Kickstarter, as far as stretch goals, we just hit the one with the poster, correct?
We did. We the first one was giving us the capability to make the graphic novel, which now we
Okay.
can do. But like I said, that's the details need to be well tuned for that. There was a Burlap movie poster I had made by my buddy Justin, and Justin is a fantastic filmmaker, and he also does his own Photoshop posters. You can see his stuff at Instagram at Slaber Day. That's his film. It's looks nuts. It's a short slasher film, and it looks like so much fun. And he was gracious enough to help me and do this poster for me. So it's taking pictures from when Burlap was a film of all the, because I have all the costumes. I had guys in the costumes and took a bunch of pictures of them. And a couple of them, the costumes specifically, showed up in the Kickstarter video. So he put together this awesome live action Burlap movie poster, and every single backer now will be receiving that as a poster. With all physical backers will be receiving that reward as well as an addition to their first reward. So
Excellent.
We're very excited about that.
Now, what would be the next stretch goal that would be available, and at what level? I mean, what price point?
So right now we are just about at 6,000. That's where we're right at the cusp of that. And if we get that, my goal, and I've been looking into a little bit of how we could do it, and I think I finally figured it out, with the right company to go to, is trading cards. So the idea that me and the boys over at Covenant, JD and Jesse, are doing like Burlap trading cards for each character. So you get your Chuckles trading card with his abilities. Mainly includes manic laughing and slashing with a hand scythe. But yeah, just each one would kind of have almost like if it were for a Yu-Gi-Oh or a Magic the Gathering kind of card. And we think those would be a lot of fun, and it wouldn't be too crazy of a thing to make that design and have those printed and sent out. So if we reach 6,000, we will be definitely looking into and having produced the Burlap trading cards, which could actually turn into maybe the Covenant Comics trading cards, where you'll get your Crossbones and your Ether and all the other great characters we have. I could see that being a really fun thing to offer. So that's the next one.
Well, as a super backer, and I'm sure the rest of the super backers are out here watching this, and the regular backers as well, I know what happened whenever he mentioned trading cards. We all know that we love getting trading cards. I have a binder over here with trading cards that I get from all my Kickstarters. I love that. So that right there, that would have gotten me if I wasn't backing it. I would have done it now. So I'm telling you right now, hit 6,000, we get some trading cards, right?
That's right.
See, look at that. We're so close to 6,000 in this thing. I know we can do this. I've seen some amazing things on Kickstarters. I'm going to go ahead and put this video out. Whenever I do, my challenge is I'd like to see this thing get to closer to, I'd say about 62, 6,300. I think we could do over 6,000. I think we could do that. I honestly do. I think we can. And I think my light bulb over my head just went off whenever I thought about that too, because I heard the dong on that. You got to love technology. But in going with the stretch goals, I appreciate that you're actually giving some that have something to do with the story as well, because even the poster, it's not just taking the cover of the book that I'm already getting and then just making it a full-size poster. You actually did something totally different that is not a cover that you're getting on there, which is nice, because that way I can look at it going, that's mine. That's only from a Kickstarter. You can't buy that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And each poster we offer is its own special thing. Like it's either a variant cover, or even we have one at, I believe it's the $50 bundle, is the Covenant Comics bundle, where you get the books and you also get, we had artwork done by two different artists of Burlap with our man Crossbones, as mentioned, and also of Burlap with the character Ether. And that is part of the Covenant Comics bundle reward, where you will get those posters as well, which are not covers. And we don't even know if they'll be covers to the crossovers. They're just fun, kind of like one-shot posters to show our characters, and how they look next to each other. And they look great. They look great next to each other.
All right. I will say this to everyone that's watching. Get on that Kickstarter. Get your stuff. I know a lot of people that have been talked to just recently who are getting on there, and they're coming back saying, I don't know where you found this thing, but it looks great. Yeah, trust me. Whenever you do, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see either with me or with Jesse, or preferably both, whenever you get your stuff in, post it with us. Let us know that you got it in, that you're happy with it. Take a picture with it. Take a selfie. Please don't go slashing on anybody and take a picture of that, because we don't want to, we don't want to be
Nope.
accessories on that one.
Oh, no, no, no.
But have some fun with it. Send some pictures in and let us know that you are more than happy with what you're getting, because you will be.
Absolutely. The thing we appreciate more than anything at Covenant is our fans and just, you guys enjoying the books. So seeing those photos, seeing those reactions to the books, the posters, everything would be awesome. And we already have some amazing fans out there. Actually, was pulling this aside, we've been receiving fan art, and this is incredible. I never thought, fan art of something I created, but this right here was done by Dennis Valencia. It's a little brutal,
Hang on.
but this is one of the first fan pieces we received, and it's amazing. And this guy is a brilliant artist. You can follow him on Instagram, Dennis Valencia, and he has done all three of the Terrible Three. That's what I call Chuckles, Cottontail, and Bones. And it's incredible. He sent this as a gift, and just these fans already that, a lot of them haven't even read the book yet, but they just see these characters, they immediately connect with these characters. And we had a lot of great fan art on Instagram, a lot of great artists submitting stuff, and I would love for you to check it out or see. And these are guys that are just love comics and love supporting the indie community. So I would, you would love their work. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent. And for those of you that just saw the print and you couldn't see exactly what it was, and you're going back and looking at it now, I'm telling you right now, it's a hair dryer up against the guy's head, and there's a Jello that's falling down on the other side. So I'm just letting you know, that's all you're seeing right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's very, very simply done. Yeah, it looks great. All right. Well, Jesse, you want to go ahead and give us your last here towards the end. You want to give us your last places where we can actually reach you, where we can find you?
Oh, sure. So as I mentioned before, we have the Facebook page. That's the Burlap Comics Facebook page. We have www.covenantcomics.com, where you can find out all about Ether, Crossbones, Burlap. You can find me on Instagram at burlap_comics with an X. And of course, the Kickstarter, which is linked all over all of those pages. So, that's where you'll be able to find all your Burlap information, and where you'll be able to see all of our content and contact us and all that great stuff.
Excellent. Well, before we leave, I just want to go ahead and say that everybody that's watching this, if you do have any questions, comments, anything like that, leave them on here. Let us know. If you want to get in touch with Jesse, you can get in touch with him directly. You can ask me if you want to get me to get with him on anything. I can definitely do that. And we'll definitely get the word around and get this taken care of. But I'm telling you right now, time is running out. You do not want to miss this. And we're going to hit that $6,200, $6,300 mark.
We're right there. Just about one more day to go, depending on where you are in the world.
Exactly.
1 to 2 more days.
Exactly. We've got this. Jesse, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and put you backstage for now on this, but thank you very much for being here, and I hope to see you again. We'll probably bring you back whenever it gets closer to the actual fulfillment, whenever you're putting it together. I want to see some of the stuff in the background as you get it in.
Absolutely.
So I'll know what's coming to me and everybody else.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you so much for having me on, and I will keep you informed the whole steps of the way. Thank you again for backing. All your guys' support is so important. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. So we had Jesse Baer here with Burlap. I hope you enjoyed the interview with that. I definitely did. And I am looking forward to many more interviews that we're going to be having on here as well. It's going to get busy right here, I'm going to tell you right now. But the main thing is, you've got very little time to back this thing. Get on there and get it done. He's got low tier, he's got high tier, he's got everything available on there. Get on there and back it. You do not want to miss this. Whenever I say it's good and I put my seal on it and I'm backing it, I don't do stuff that I don't believe in by any means, and everybody knows this. So anytime that I put on their post, keep it indie, y'all, that means it's good stuff. So on that end, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. I appreciate y'all being here. Demon Phil, Comics and More, New Jersey, reminding you, keep it indie, y'all.